What is good, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Films and Pixels podcast, episode 58. I'm your host, Afif. Thank you for anyone that has now tuned in after what feels like a long time coming, just almost a year. I mean, oh my gosh, just thinking about it, like the last time I recorded an episode was when I was reviewing the Fantastic Four movie that was released almost 1 year ago in July, and there were other topics included. But it's crazy. I mean, look, to be honest, I remember once I said like, oh, I will make the effort more often record, and just like, whatever, like I have so many reasons, from technical difficulties to frustrations of setting up and so forth. Slow upload speeds, power cuts, and I've been like more honestly like focused on improving my my skills and like producing and mixing music as well, which today is also going to be more of a music focused episode, so this should be good. This should be fun, honestly, more than anything. So that's one of the reasons. And like, I've had a script ready. There are a lot of thoughts I've had in my mind that I wanted to say. It's a good thing I actually waited, just because of where the gaming industry is sort of trending towards at the moment, and changes and announcements have occurred, especially over the last week with all of these festivals and companies either talking about releases and so forth. Nothing hardware wise anyway. But yeah, I'm going to get into gaming, but this is still a music focused episode. But yeah, I mean, like, thank you so much. Like, if you're first time or whatsoever, like, please subscribe. Any engagement is good. Like, comment, even constructive criticism is good, not destructive criticism. Let's just go with that, just to keep the conversation friendly. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. You don't have to like anything I say or my opinions, but just keep it constructive, not destructive. All right? So, yeah, without further ado, let's get going for the Films and Pixels podcast, episode 58. Alright, guys and gals, for this first section, I just want to go over like maybe some recommended beginner DJ controllers if anyone is interested, even just like as a casual hobby and you just want to like, buy something that's affordable enough, entry level. Beginner is also good, but like the thing with entry level controllers is that like features are so limited that like you can outgrow it very quickly and you can learn fast. And even like the physical size and sound, like not enough buttons, it's a bit cramped. And I know that I've had that experience on two different controllers, so that can get frustrating if you find yourself more interested and you want more that's really more beginner friendly and gives you better learning tools. So this is why I'll mention Alpha Theta, or formerly known as Pioneer DJ, Alpha Theta DDJ FLX2. It's a good entry level. I know that like maybe in the States and other countries, like below the $200 mark, maybe like $185, but for some reason I've been able to find it between $225 and $235. So when you see it online, when you see a picture of it, what you see is what you get. It does have the 2 jog wheels, 3 EQ bands, 4 performance pads, 8 clicky pad buttons, the tempo fader, crossfader, volume fader, play cue, the shift beat sync, all that. What it doesn't have is there's no track browser. It doesn't have any it lacks beat effects, level depth. Lack buttons for charging beat effects or changing beat effects. There's no VU meter just to let you know like how's your decibel level, that you're not clipping into the red. There aren't any secondary performance modes, so you have to rely on software if you want to use something like maybe Slicer or Beat Jump or stems. You have to customize buttons for stems, which I'll talk about. And the output speakers are only like 3.5 millimeter auxiliary instead of RCA. And for controlling the mastered headphone knobs, like very small fiddly little knobs, like, you know what I mean? It's just tiny cheap looking knobs. So on the side, so that's not good. There's no mic control, no manual loop, And like I said, no trim gain knobs, which is sort of like controlling the volume level or decibel level of your track. It's different from the volume fader of your track. It's more like improving the sound level of the track. You'd have to rely on like auto feature if you're using record box. That's why I've had a similar frustration with, Hercules' Impulse series. For a while I did like the Impulse 200, but it lacked so much. There was no mid EQ for one. It only had 8 pad modes, total 8 pads, 4 on each side. That was frustrating, and only 4 modes. Like only having 4 EQ points, really annoying, really frustrating. So I didn't like that. But this is why I do want to recommend, the FLX4. It really packs a punch. It has so much for beginners. 8 performance modes, trim knobs, gain knobs, like everything I said that the FLX2 doesn't have is available on the FLX4. One of the most popular, better, also good for other software. It really does take advantage of Rekordbox. I know it has Serato compatibility. I'm just not a fan of like the whole Serato Lite feature. And then like to use, let's say like 8 Q points, you have to pay, upgrade to Serato Pro or subscribe. So that's just not my thing. FLX4 is really good, but like just a few things like maybe I'm not a fan of, like, the inclusion of the smart fader. It's just maybe too beginner. Like once you get used to manual mixing without relying on the smart fader, it just seems kind of useless to me. So that's why I'm just not like really a fan of it for some reason. And I know there's other softwares like the Hercules, the Newmark, and the Tractor and all that from Native Instruments, but other controls, I didn't love the Impulse 200. I know Impulse 300, really good for beginners. Impulse 500, semi-pro, a bit high. Impulse 300, I've seen like $300 to $330. Impulse 500 also from Hercules, like close to like $400 or so. Impulse 700, more for intermediates, scratch DJs. There's also the Newmark controls, but more for Serato, and also other DJ like the GRV6. Let me just say one more time: the DDJ GRV6, 4 channels. Oh my goodness, it packs a lot, but it's huge, and it's almost $1,000 controller. The RV5 is more like for scratch DJs sort of device. So if you want to start, I would say like something like maybe the Newmark Mixtrack Pro, FLX4, Impulse 300 MK2, maybe Impulse 500 if you want. I think those are solid enough. But I mean, like, I know Rekordbox is like the industry standard, but if you give the Hercules hardware a try and really learn using Dejuiced, I think you're just going to appreciate the fact that the barrier to entry for learning is not very restrictive. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate having like 8 cue points instead of 4. 4 just feels restrictive. It's just not helpful, Like, I like knowing not just the intros, the outros, the chorus, where are my verses, where I like to have a loop, maybe where I like to just say skip but not press the button. Where's the breakdown? Where's the build up? Any other notes for different cue points? I just like to be very specific. I like to use all 8 of my cue points on different controller that I'm going to mention. And as a matter of fact, just without wasting time, I'm going to present something right here. This is actually a Hercules hardware. This is the P32. As you can see here, and this might surprise many, obviously no jog wheels. There's no tempo fader, but you can change it with a tempo knob. It feels good. The size is really nice. All the buttons. You know what I like about all the buttons here? Like rubberized clicky. Like not very plastic clicky. You know what I mean? It feels nice, very soft. Rubberized. Even the buttons are knobs and buttons. They're very nice. Just keep in mind, I have to accept the fact no gain knob. But there's an auto gain. at least from a recent software update, the auto gain has somewhat improved, so it's fine. But it's better to have manual gain, 2 channels, knob for like beat jumping. There's of course the hot cues. I can have 8 for free. The loops, the slip, slicer. Slicer is fine. I try to take advantage of the slicer. It's not my favorite, but it can be useful when you figure it out. The sampler can be fun to customize. I really like the layout of the beat effects, like having all of these knobs here. So this is pretty cool. It does feel nice. What price was I got at a discount, so price was decent. What I didn't know or fully realize is that this was like, I don't want to call it outdated hardware, but it's known to be like a legacy hardware from back in 2016. So by now it's like a 10-year-old controller, but it is surprisingly really good, really fun, feels great, size is nice. I remember a really small compact Instinct controller from my sister. Sorry, big sis, but it really sucked. It's not the issue with the jog wheels. Like the Impulse jog wheels feel really nice, but just learning from the P32, it's really great. It's so cool. Until like I feel ready for something, because I'm not willing or wanting right now. I'm not at a place of like taking DJing seriously, but I am having fun learning. Does that make sense? I'm just not really there and like taking DJing seriously just yet, but the fun of learning is like just to grow and see where it takes me. That's the whole idea. All right, guys and gals, fourth topic, focus on MIDI controllers. They're like these devices that allow producers to input written notes, beats into a DAW, otherwise known as a digital audio workstation. Think of programs that you might have heard of like GarageBand, FL Studios, Cubase, Ableton. There's plenty more. I know that I've heard of. I know of. Logic Pro is another one. Avid Pro Tools is another great example. Right now, I'm using one that's actually very beginner friendly, but what I really like, the barrier to entry is not very restrictive as well. It's from BandLab. It's called Cakewalk. Now, in this case, 2 different Cakewalk software, but the Cakewalk Sonar provides more advanced tools, and the Cakewalk Next is very beginner friendly, but still good, intuitive, and fun to use. So I really like them both. I like that they're free from BandLab. Just need a BandLab account. Yes, for a few extra upgrades that are not like so essential, but in a few ways can be helpful, there is like a subscription payment. Like you'll see when there's like a pop-up when you open one of the apps. I don't know if like for using the advanced features of Sonar and Next, you have to pay separately, or can you just pay once for both? But it's not a deal breaker. If anything, I'm really glad there aren't any restrictions with like how many tracks I can use if I want to use like certain vocals or certain instrumental beats or so forth, just to produce or remix songs and so forth. So other than like a few features that are not like deal breakers, like not to have, it's fine. And it's really cool that I can download third-party effects. Right now, there's so many that are like uncategorized. I really need to take the time to properly categorize them, but it's fine. So I really like the Cakewalk Sonar. If you're familiar with Cubase, if you're familiar with Pro Tools or any other programs, you'll feel right at home with Cakewalk Sonar especially. So it's great for producers to like, that's the whole point with MIDI controllers, like adding audio clips, loops, sound effects, whatever it can be, whether like you can find them just to start for free or from websites that provide professionally developed ready-made music loops of different genres, even many house genres that you can use, prepare yourself, make music, and just put yourself out there, just put your talent out there. So that's pretty cool. So I've got with me one of the Akai ones. I've got sorry for the noise. Akai MPK Mini 2. It's got 25 keys, 8 pads, some buttons for like the octaves and changing tempo key, 8 encoders, program select, like I said, 25 keys, arpeggiator, USB port. It does come with a few software licenses compatible with MPC beats, which is again like a beat maker, so to speak, for a producer. It's fine. But like using it for like DAWs really helped me as well, just get a better hang of it. And for a while, actually more than a while, like long time, it's not I didn't like it. It's just I always didn't understand it until like last year, like getting more into like understanding music production, and it did help. Like years ago, I did take like a audio engineering course, actually more than one. So it sort of helped my understanding to some level. So I'm really glad I did that. But I was just thinking like other controllers. There are like other Akai controllers, like, the MPK3, MPK Mini 3, like definitely better encoders. The MPK Mini Plus with a speaker and 37 keys. Novation has really nice looking, sleek MIDI controllers, whether it's like 32 or 37 keys. I don't have the names on top of my head, or maybe I wrote them, but really excellent ones. If there's other MIDI controllers that I like, that I favor, I've become a fan of the Arturia Mini Lab 3. Yes, it does have 25 keys, but it's very extensive. Like even with the software included, like Analog Lab, I think one of them. Price range is solid enough. Like I think $150 is a bit high, but finding it like at $130, I think is fair enough. So that one is good. I did mention Akai. There's an Akai APC Key 25 MK2. It's more pad heavy. There are 25 keys, but like more pad heavy. Fader, knobs, encoders, all that good stuff. It's really more like just to take advantage of Ableton Live. It does come with like Ableton Live Lite, just to get you started on it. But other ones that like I've liked that I became a fan of, the M Audio Key Station Mini 32 is a solid choice. Okay, I've seen it at $100, but I did find a retailer that has is selling at like lower price. So that one, like maybe sometime in the near future, it is something I will consider. It is very minimalistic, octave knobs and so forth. Not a lot of buttons and knobs, but it does have 32 keys, so that's a nice option. One that I think is really, really good, the M Audio Oxygen Pro Mini. That one has, yes, there are 32 keys, 4 knobs, I think 8 pads, like chord mode and like different modes. There's a DAW mode. Like the certain modes that has, like what you can do. Like think of what the Arturia Mini Lab 3 can do, but what the Oxygen Pro Mini 32 does more. Obviously with the 32 keys. I think at $150, yeah, that is a fair deal. So the Pro Mini 32, I like that one. That's one of those like I can recommend. So yeah, there are many options, whether it's like 25, 32, 37, 49, 67, 88 key controller options. So many of them work well with DAWs as long as you just configure, like have them like input devices and so forth. So those kind of controllers, they're really good. They're really fun. If you want to like go ahead, use them. They can be really fun. But like if there are any that I like I said, Mini Lab 3, Key Station Mini 32, and the Pro Mini 32. I think those are the ones I like. I might have seen something from Novation that has 37 keys. I think I like that one. I think those are pretty good. So yeah, but like if you feel like you just want to go ahead and get started just producing music, just get an idea, maybe like find a few beats. Actually, yeah, Cakewalk has been generous to allow some free loops. There's a website, it was frustrating when like there were some free loops and then they were locked by, at least like on the website, like locked behind a subscription payment. Okay, whatever. But within the software, it's generous enough to like provide some free loops. You can find them online. If you want some professionally crafted music beats for producers, you can find at a price if it fits your budget. Just search online, make the effort, think of the genre you want, you like, you favor, you feel good about, and just go ahead and get started on something that is beginner friendly. Just do the work. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you just make the work, do the work, like I can tell you for sure, like you will grow and benefit. It's about growth at the end of the day. All right, guys and gals, I just want to focus on one more topic of the day and just want to go further into the gaming industry, where it is now, where it is headed, and really which platforms you should invest, the status of gaming right now in 2026. So just before I go with the big announcements that happened like a week or two ago, like a week and a half ago, something like that. Um, Listen, the whole issue with the RAM chips shortages, the direction of AI, taxes, the tariffs, economic inflation in different countries. Like the thing is, like normally every gaming generation, when the big three or the big four, when Sega used to do hardware, like the manufacturing cost would go down, But this time there are price hikes, which I don't want to call this the worst generation, but this is easily the most expensive gaming generation of all time, easily, with many different retailers. Like I said, global tariffs and economic shifts and so forth. Like even games, like the actual software itself, like becoming astronomically high, like as high as $80, $70 sometimes. Like started 70, now going up 80, 90, which is absolutely crazy. I can imagine GTA 6 being between $90 to $100 when it comes out in November. Like it's going to be crazy. But yeah, it's supposed to go cheaper over time. Like the 8th generation with the PS4, Switch, Xbox One got cheaper. And even with games like maximum $50 to $60, like buying them once in a while, it's still high, but not to where it is now. So that's just crazy. And we had like the gaming announcements of, from all three plus, the Summer Game Fest and Gamescom coming in August. Whether it's the Final Fantasy VII Revelation or the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4, or a lot of information like the release date for the Halo remake and more on the Gears of War E-Day. Like, I'm not going to go over a whole bunch of games that were announced. You can easily find them online. So you can just catch up on that. Even another one like the Resident Evil Veronica remake, or the remake Code X. Resident Evil Veronica Code X. I might be incorrect on the original title, but the remake is just simply called Resident Evil Veronica, but you'll find all that online. So without getting off topic, it's just talking about, okay, where is gaming right now? So we know that the initial launch of the 9th generation, it was a bit disastrous with COVID-19 pandemic. So there were scalpers selling Series X and PS5 consoles at like $1,000, which is insane. So many games had to be delayed. It affected development. Gaming companies had to find ways to work remotely. I guess maybe a few or some games, like there were like buggy launches, but it's a good thing over time work has been done to improve it or add extra content and so forth. And I hate like if some games don't do well, like there have been studio closures. It hasn't been nice to see, especially when Microsoft invested like billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, and like they had to close some studios. That's been discouraging to see. I was actually shocked when Sony recently did, I think in mid-March or early April, of a well-known studio. So that was disappointing. And then that leaves with gaming PC, at least like with gaming, I'm not saying it's my favorite, but with gaming PC, like up-to-date specs and SSD, even though the consoles are adapting to SSD, which is a must-have, must-do recommendation. But yeah, one of the things, like obviously gaming PC has an advantage right now. Yes, the hardware can be expensive. Okay, even it's like a gaming PC laptop with 32 gigs, which is more than enough. 16 gigabytes is fine. i7, AMD Ryzen 7, and so forth. What else? Yeah, high processing. Like, I mean, getting a lot of amazing games on Steam. There's always going to be generous discounts. Yes, Sony and I think Microsoft does have good discounts, but you'd be surprised by how generous the Steam discounts are. And I know the same with Epic, but Epic Games, like still every Thursday they give away games. Sometimes big budget AAA kind of games, but mostly solid indie level, AA indie level games. Some of the indie games I got for free, they're actually really nice, enjoyable. Not all of them I finished, but when you explore indie games, you'll just appreciate it more. So that's why PC gaming, I think, is having the edge right now. buried entry plus free online multiplayer. Which brings me to like other console options. Like, I mean, look, if you're a Sony loyalist, sure, the PS5 is still okay, but like $600+. Like, I'm seeing it's $620, but seriously, the PS5 Pro, $950? Yo, man, $900, $950 is absolute insanity for a console with no disc drive. It doesn't even have a disc drive still, and it's $950. What are you doing? Absolute insanity. It just makes the Switch 2 look good, which is why I have to go with the Switch 2, because Mario Kart World, I know there's a Pokopia. I think maybe 2 or 3 other games got like cross-generation release, like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and even some previous generation games getting like a Switch 2 upgrade. And there was a recent announcement of some of those games, so that's still ongoing. But despite a few drawbacks like of the Switch 2, like the LCD screen, it definitely does provide a technical better improvement. Just be aware by September it's going to be $500. Now look, if you don't care too much about the Nintendo Switch gaming era ecosystem that Nintendo are right now, they're on a really good roll since the Switch in 2017, like becoming second best selling of all time. Maybe the Switch OLED from previous generation will be fine. At least it has an OLED screen, 7-inch, good speakers, better kickstand, 64 gigabytes of storage. But you're still going to face the annoying problems of somewhat slow loading, especially when it comes to the digital store, and the really, really, really choppy frame rates, whereas Switch 2 really fixes a lot of that. But Switch 2, better investment if you care so much about Nintendo gaming. But if you're just like casual gaming, whatever, you don't want to invest too much and just maybe a few games from the Switch, Switch OLED is fine. It's a decent investment. Okay, on the Xbox side, this might be a little tricky, right? Because I want to start with the Series S. The reason why I say that is because it's the little guy, the little brother to the Series X, the better, more powerful, 4K ready console that's more powerful enough, actually slightly above what the PS5 offers. But when you compare it side by side, no one will notice, no one will care. So if you're more of an hardcore Xbox gamer loyalist from the days of Xbox One or even Xbox 360, yes, continue with the Series X. Does a great job with backwards compatibility and so forth. 4K gaming, disc drive. What else can I say? Like solid design, hardware is solid. It's just nothing too fancy, good enough. Series X is the one to go to, but only if you have had previous generations before it, if you've been a loyalist, like I said. Series S, the issue is, yes, it's fine, casual gaming, so it was meant to be cheap, but like I said, like everything Xbox related had to become expensive. So whether it's accessories, gamepads, like even the consoles itself, expensive, going from 300, the Series S, now to like close to 500 something, like, which it is what it is. But the issue with the Series S, other than no disk drive, the resolution and frame rates, like the overall graphics of the Series S, like you can get a better gaming experience playing the same games on a gaming laptop or gaming PC. You know, whether it's Assassin's Creed Shadows or Monster Hunter Wilds, Silent Hill 2, you know, Metal Gear Solid, Delta Snake, you know, just some games I'm mentioning from 2024, 2025 that like really don't look good or perform well on the Series S, but obviously are better on the Series X and will be excellent, provide excellent gaming experience, graphics and performance-wise on a very good, powerful gaming PC or laptop. So this is where I am at, like, okay, like with the generation focusing more on 4K, I really like that how all three of the consoles with backwards compatibility, that's my favorite feature. Emphasis on the SSD with the super loading. I shouldn't even forget about ray tracing. I'm not sure if it's on the Switch too, but definitely more of a feature with the PS5, PS5 Pro, Series X, and Maybe rarely on Series S just because of the limitations that it provides. But I mean, like, even like the PS5 being $700 when it launched, it just wasn't. I just couldn't justify it for anyone. I couldn't say yes, go ahead for it. On top of buying a separate disc drive with it. It's good that the Series X does have a digital version, if that matters to you, but there isn't an option to add a digital version later. And there is a 2 terabyte mode, so that's just where I'm at with the state of gaming. It's not like I dislike this generation or don't want to invest in this generation. I'm just not ready right now, and as much as I hate to admit it, I'm always fucking broke anyway. I'm broke as fuck with not much fucking money. That's just my fucking reality. But yeah, like, that's just where I'm at. Like, I'm fine anyway right now. I'm still enjoying great games. I got to finish my backward compatible, my backlog of games, excuse me. And the great thing is that with a PS4 Pro, I've got the 7200. For those that don't understand, I'm being picky, but it's the 3rd iteration of the Pro that has the figure 8 power cord. Not very loud. Temperature is still fine. It doesn't overheat. As long as it doesn't overheat, it's fine. Can be warm, but nothing to really worry or freak out about when it comes to the Pro's cooling system. At least the PS5 improves on fan noise and cooling system. But with the expenses going up and priorities I got, I'm just not willing and able to invest in a new generation hardware. The games itself, like, they're fantastic. A lot of fantastic games. Maybe some a bit overhyped, but a lot of really good games. So that's just where I'm at with like game. I don't want to right now. Maybe at a later time. If I don't in 2026, it's fine. Maybe 2027, 2028, maybe 2029 even. That could happen sometime later. So it's fine. That's just where I'm at. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see where it goes. But I mean, with the expenses, with the whole industry like becoming unaffordable, it just doesn't make anyone care. It just leaves some doubt on like, where is it going and why should we keep going with console gaming anymore, you know? Dommage. Alright, guys and gals, that pretty much wraps it up for the Films and Pixels podcast, episode 58. I'm so glad for any of you, even if it's a small audience of people, just to listen and tune in from beginning to end. Taking time from your busy life schedule to watch and listen. Thank you so much for just listening to my opinions, not accepting my opinions, thoughts and analysis anyway on music and gaming tech and all that good stuff. Thank you so much. Appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. Beginning to end, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment, engage, whatever. Yeah, this is Afif signing out from the Films and Pixels podcast, episode 58. Good day and good night.